So prior to getting to that networking event, there are two things that you really should be doing. The first is to make sure that you have enough business cards on you. And you, by the way, you should be carrying business cards with you at all times, because networking again occurs on a one-on-one basis, and it could occur in the Starbucks when you're standing in line. And then second, the second thing that I'll ask you to do prior to going into that networking event is turn off your cell phone. We'll talk a little bit about this why in a little bit, but we're going to take a quick break right now to pause for verification.
Please take a moment to write down lawline.com's first verification code. Lawline.com's first verification code is the word notice, all in lowercase, N-O-T-I-C-E, notice.
So you've now got your business cards and you've now turned your cell phone off. So what do you do when you enter the room? Well, if you're the shyest, the most self-proclaimed shyest individual in the entire world, and you're terrified about that networking event, I've got a little secret for you. There's somebody who's shyer than you. Trust me, there's somebody in there who's more terrified than you are at that event. And you can find them, and that creates a rapport right there. So how do you find that person? Well, if you look around the event, what you'll start to see is one or two people who are standing off from the end of the group, or they're standing alone and looking awkward at the bar or at the buffet. Walk up to that person and confidentially say to them, you know, I always feel awkward being at these events. How about you? More often than not, what's going to happen is that person's going to heave a huge sigh of relief that somebody came and talked to them, and they're going to start having a conversation with you. And that's the beginning of the relationship that you can create for rainmaking purposes. You know, the best networkers out there also know that when you go to these events, it's not about you. It's about finding out as much as possible about the other person. And those best networkers are the people who ask interesting questions. As a quick aside, my very first job out of law school, I had always wanted to be involved in the entertainment industry. And I had, through my network, got introduced to a gentleman who was the CEO of a brand new entertainment startup owned by the Jackson family. I had gone in to ask him about being in the entertainment industry. It was just an informational interview. And I sat down with him and I asked him 2 questions. And within those 2 questions, this gentleman spoke for 4.5 hours. But by the end of that, because I had been so interested, he wound up offering me a job as in-house counsel for that particular company. Now, great networkers know that asking questions is definitely the way to break the ice. So what are some good questions to ask? Well, some good questions to ask are, what are other networking events you go to? Why did you get involved in this industry or business? What do you love most about what you do? Who or what is the best prospect for you? Again, notice, not one of these questions is about you. In fact, it's never about you, because people really don't care about you. Sorry to say this, but it's true. People care about what you can do for them. And if you keep that in mind when you're networking, you're going to find yourself getting more and more referrals later on. While you're at the networking event, in addition to asking questions, by far and away the best skill you can learn is how to listen. Really learn how to listen intently. Most people spend their lives waiting for an opening during a conversation. And what they're doing is they're not listening to what's being said. Well, if you listen as carefully as possible, you're going to get hints about what's going on with that person and potential business opportunities there.